Hey, if you've ever wondered if you're behind in your 30s or if you have these insecurities that you wonder if other people have these things, this video is for you. So I'm actually in my mid 30s, I'm 36, and despite all the personal development, these books I've read and all that, the therapy, the work I've done, there are some things, some insecurities that I have that make me feel like I'm so far behind and I'm not where I'm supposed to be in life. This video isn't a how to fix everything video. It's more of a video for anyone that, is like, yo, does anybody else feel this way? All right, let's get into it. I have 10 of these things and I want to share these with you. Number 1, I'm single with no family still. I'm not gonna lie, I've been feeling really behind seeing my friends with families. And so when I recently went back to Boston, I got to see what I missed out on for the last 10 years since I've been gone. A lot of my kids not only have one kid, but they're on their second, third. And meanwhile, here I am, I'm 36. I'm sitting in my uncle's place right now on the floor recording YouTube videos about my insecurities and stuff, which I'm moving out, by the way, pretty soon. But it makes me wonder, dude, I feel so behind. I don't even have a girlfriend right now, which is crazy. And my family, they're like, oh, when are you gonna find someone and all this sort of stuff? As I was hanging out with my friends, sometimes I wonder, can I handle being an adult, a man, and supporting a family? Because the thing is for me is I want to be an entrepreneur and I want to keep this thing going, but I also have the responsibility of a family, and that scares the absolute out of me, not gonna lie. At that moment, it's just not me anymore. There's the pressure of supporting my wife, my kids, their futures, and it's not me anymore. I think in some ways, when I listen to dad podcasts, they're just oh yeah, it really brings out the best in you. It's actually not a setback. It's one of the best personal development type of things you can do. I don't even call it a burden. It's this pressure that I can't be a really great provider because there's still a lot of volatility in my business and I live a very low-key life. Just a few years ago, I was after quitting pharmacy, there was months where I was only making $600 to $1,200 per month, which wasn't a whole lot. But just to give you context, in the last 2 weeks, I made $14K. So it fluctuates up and down, and yes, the fluctuations get higher and higher as I go, but I just wonder sometimes yo, is it completely irresponsible for me to start a family with this kind of uncertainty and craziness in my life? I really do wonder that. I guess the good news about this is as I was chilling with one of my friends in Boston, she's on her second kid right now, really close friend, but she wants my life. She wants a complete opposite. And so cliche, they always say grass is always greener. I hate that quote, but I realize they want the business and freedom that I have right now in my life. And they tell me, take your time, all this other stuff. My friend, she's a PA. She's looking into starting a business, fund houses outside of her PA stuff. Because here's something that they don't tell you. It's some of these careers, you just cap out after 10 years. Pharmacy is one of them and PA is one of them too. All the time that she's been working on her family, I've been working on my business. So it kind of feels a little bit flipped. Number 2, I don't own a home. So, okay, I get this all the time. Everyone's telling me to buy a house. Hey, do you own a home, right? But the thing is for me, I don't own a home because I find that it's a huge liability, but people still tell me that I should. And it's kind of are you married yet? But I also feel they ask do you own a home too? And every single time I say no, I feel I'm not being financially responsible. Logically, most people will say, oh, but you're just throwing away rent, you're not building equity, blah 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 blah. But I think there's an argument for actually not owning a home, especially if you're a business owner. To me, it just doesn't make sense to liquidate a lot of my portfolio, especially if I one, I don't even know if I'm going to be in this area for more than 10 years. A lot of my entrepreneur friends, they travel around, they live abroad. A lot of my friends move to Asia. There's that. 2, I don't want to lock up majority of my assets in a physical property. That's another thing. Number 3, I don't want to invest my money into something that isn't generating cash flow. At least for me right now, I think cash flow is so important as a creator because it frees up my stress, frees up my mind and stuff like that. And then 4, I think this is more important for business owners, but owning a home, and even if you have property management doing everything for you, I feel it would take away my focus from my zone of genius, which is high ticket sales, doing YouTube content, affiliate marketing and stuff like that too. And so I think it's probably a childhood thing of comparing myself all the time. But like as I'm older, when people ask me this stuff, I don't have a really concise answer about like how to clap back or anything like that. But for me, I feel like I'm actually making a really good decision by embracing freedom a little bit more and deploying capital wisely, right? So for example, like I do an affiliate video on my channel and it generates anywhere from like $500 to $1,000 per month. Not all of them are like that, but some of them are. Lower ones is like $50 per month. But hey, it's growing, you know? I can do that without getting a loan, deal with property management or any other hassle. And I think focus is actually really, really important. And I get to like keep my liquidity, which is pretty dope too, you know? So yeah. Number 3, I'm scared I will be a really bad partner. Oh my God. So this one speaks a lot to me because I feel like my childhood stuff will ruin my future relationships, traumatize my kids, and everyone will leave me. So I want to tell you a quick story. So after my last breakup, which was like about 3-4 years ago, I took a complete break from dating. Yes, I've been abstinent, which is freaking crazy. Like I never thought this would happen. But also at the time too, I was just like very heartbroken because I gave like everything I could at the end, but it was too late. My avoidant tendencies like really ruined the relationship, and there was some other things on her end too, but usually it's a guy that's always asking for, like, it's the girl that wants therapy and the guy doesn't. But I really want to work out and I was really disappointed about how it didn't work out. And I think after just taking some time off, I realized, oh, I have a real problem with being disorganized. Sometimes I feel anxious in a relationship. Other times I feel more avoidant. I think the last one I was in, I was definitely a lot more avoidant attachment. But after these experiences, watching my exes get married and stuff, I really think I'm the problem. I'm just scared I'll be just such a horrible partner again. And I think even worse, I really don't want to pass it on to my family either. Because like in my mind, I can't really control how other people feel, but I've been actually really treated badly in my previous relationships. Some people left me when I really needed someone. I really needed support, and they left me in the dust, which sucks. And that's why I'm here in Vegas, right? And a lot of times when they broke up with me, I felt like transactionalized, almost like kind of used, almost like that's the term. I felt, and this could be wrong, this could be right, but I felt like they liked me because what I could do for them, not for who I was. I can't blame them too, because I chose to ignore some of the red flags. And also at the time, I was really young. I was in my early 30s and I didn't really have an understanding of the inner work and all these things that I notice now too, as I'm older. As I do more inner work, I realize like, while I might not be the best partner, in my mind, this perfectionism, I realized by working on it through like mental health coaching, therapy, and all these different modalities, it makes me a way better partner than I would have been before without it. So measuring like how far I've come versus like where I'm at, if that makes sense. Measure the gain, not the gap. I feel too gone to be fixed. Okay, here's something that they don't tell you about like personal development. Like I've done a lot. I've spent over 100K on programs. I've read a lot of books, gone therapy, all these different things. Even in this room, I have 6 more bookcases, which you don't really see at all. I think I came to a realization. It's like, oh, even though I've done all this work, I realize that I'm still pretty messed up. Sometimes like I get this feeling like I'm so far gone that it's too late to be fixed. I should just end everything. And those are actually very, very real thoughts sometimes. Not to self-harm or anything like that, but it's like that. It's like quiet quitting. Despite the work I've done, I feel like no one will ever love me. Like I feel like sometimes I'm very unlovable, and it's really a defense mechanism that happens to just like dissociate myself with everything. When I look at all the things that I'm dealing with on the inner work side of like, you know, being a man and like finding purpose and confidence and like perfectionism, all these continuing themes in my life, I feel like there's still so much work to do. And no matter how much awareness, self-awareness, inner work, emotional regulation I've developed, it's gotten way better. I feel like my external life hasn't caught up. It's so hard in the moment, but like when I'm out of it, I'm just like, oh, it's about progress, not perfection. I get that whole thing, but I think something that's really helped me is just noticing that my depressive episodes aren't as frequent. I'm laughing a lot more, and I just feel happier in general, and that's a huge win sometimes. Also, did I mention it's like a lot quicker for me to snap out of these depressive episodes? And of course, your boy is at Whole Foods watching this video, editing it, and I realized that the footage is totally out of focus, and please deal with my pale ass non-tan legs over here. It's really embarrassing, but enjoy the rest of the video. So let's talk about the other thing that I'm kind of insecure about. I feel like a failure in my career. As you guys know, I actually switched out of pharmacy. I spent like 7 years studying pharmacy, became a pharmacist, practiced for 5 years, only realized I hated it the whole time and I never followed my intuition. And I kind of ended up doing this whole YouTube thing and high ticket sales thing. And especially with the YouTube stuff, I feel like I should be a lot further compared to my colleagues and for the amount of time and videos I've kind of done. You know, I'm not gonna lie, I'm very grateful for the 18.5, 18.4K subscribers I do have, but I just feel like I should be so much further ahead. Like people ask me for YouTube advice and stuff, and I know all the like right answers, but for some reason, like it's really hard to apply to myself sometimes too. And I felt like for a long time, I've just been bashing my head against the wall like over and over again, trying out these new things, trying out higher quality content, lower quality content, and now I'm trying this. And I finally found something sustainable for me that I think is going to not necessarily blow up my YouTube channel, but really collect the right relationships. And so the reason why I notice myself feeling like insecure about it, by the way, is like when I look at my channel, I'm like, oh my God, my average views aren't that high. Like my channel is all over the place. When I do like YouTube consults or anything like that, people are like, hey, what's your channel? And I feel the beginner cringe because I'm not getting numbers that I used to get. And that's for a variety of number of reasons we can talk about. I actually shot a whole video about it too, so you guys can watch that. But I just feel like I should be so much further ahead. I don't know, I feel a little bit disappointed in myself. It's much like my fitness and jiu-jitsu. I feel like my internal knowledge has not caught up with my external world or reality, and it doesn't reflect the growth I've had. The thing that I try to remind myself though is like, everyone's journey, as cliche as this sounds, everybody's journey is a little bit different, and numbers shouldn't define me. I should be more focused on the input, the leading metrics, like the things that we have control of. Like, hey, Kevin, why don't you just like be consistent again and shoot videos that feel effortless and fun, versus like focus on the metrics I have zero control over. Like I can't control the number of views that I have, can't control the number of subscribers I have. Like sure, I can shift the odds in my favor by focusing on better content, right? But ultimately I have no control over this too. And just realizing this and coming to terms with this and being a little bit more empathetic, it's like, how do I make the process more fun? Because somewhere along the way I actually hated creating YouTube videos. Like for the last, I don't know, actually last time I had a lot of fun doing YouTube was like right before my dad passed away and right before I quit pharmacy, and that's when I felt like so alive. I was traveling around the world and doing content that I really love, but these last few years I just haven't been feeling it, if I were to be very, very honest. Last thing about this too, even if I went viral, like what is the point? I've gone viral for like interviewing a Twitch girl who left her camera on, right? I hit that video, by the way, it's not on there. I remember like those moments, or my don't do pharmacy videos and stuff, which was cool because people found me, but it wasn't the audience that I really wanted, not the relationships I want to cultivate. And so I asked myself, like, even if I did go viral, what exactly do I want from this? And if I were to be very honest, it's like there's two answers, right? Yes, one, I really truly want to help people, because like no one was really helping me too much when I was growing up, and I've always had to front up everything. I've always like, I want to share these lessons that I'm learning with others so that it just makes the world a better place. Legacy is big on my mind. But two is a more selfish reason where sure, money, all that's cool, but I think like there's a deep child wound for myself where it's like I just want to actually mean like to people, or like prove that I'm not a useless piece of shit. But the more positive reasons too, that's kind of like the shadow type of stuff. But also I just want to serve people, man. I want to pay my team, like who's amazing, who has stuck by me, this amazing team I built. I want to pay them an extraordinary amount. I want to like give them a life of abundance, and I just want to meet really, really cool people in the process. It means a lot to me, like when I'm my happiest, and it's like when I'm at these events, when I'm meeting like cool people and being able to meet the people I really respect, like my friend Mike Kim, Vanessa Lau, and like Chris Do, and all these other people, and Ali, and all these people that have come into my life, and I'm like, wow, we are really not that much different, and we actually go through the same mud of struggles, dog. Like, it's pretty crazy. TLDR, I'm super insecure about this channel. Might start another one. Number 6, I feel like I should have invested more. So If you guys don't know my story, I've been investing since I was 11 years old. I had a Roth IRA and all that. And I actually created an investing course, which I'll probably publish on this channel for free and stuff. But when I quit pharmacy, I minimized and almost stopped my investments completely, trying to do this like YouTube startup or grow my high ticket sales agency and stuff too, right? Just because I needed cash flow in the moment, right? Your boy's got to eat. And so I regret really minimizing my like investments after quitting pharmacy. I did liquidate some funds initially, which didn't feel too great, honestly. Like compared to everyone else, I've invested quite a bit in my age bracket, but I can't help but the opportunity cost that I missed out on that. We talk about compound interest and stuff and how it's like we want the exponential curve, but I feel like I would have a lot more if I didn't make that move. And I made some bad decisions. I made some bad like investments and stuff too. And I think it's this perfectionism of trying to be perfect and stuff where I beat myself up. Like I'm an idealist. I like to do what's optimal and stuff like that too. And it's a problem I've always had. Like, dude, even with diet and stuff, I'll talk about it later, but it'd be all or nothing. I'd be like, oh, I messed up on my diet. And then like I would go binge fest, dog. It was crazy. That's kind of like what I felt. And I think the positive side is like, even though right now I had to take a financial hit, I feel like my ceiling for money is exponentially higher. And I realized that I will probably never be broke ever again, if that makes sense. Like just for example, in 2 weeks, I made 14K off of like just one of my clients doing high ticket sales and commissions and stuff. I have other sources of income, by the way, but that's like one. As a pharmacist, it would take me not forever, but like probably like a month or whatever, or like 2 months to actually collect that. And I'm not even talking about the write-offs, like the write-offs for this camera and stuff like that too. I couldn't do that as like a regular employee, but as a business owner, I can write a lot of things off. My money's worth more. It's really, really cool. And I think on top of that, I think about the unique value that I add to like my clients and all this sort of stuff, and the amount of goodwill I've just like put into the world. I feel like if I ever lost all my clients, if I need to start again, I wouldn't sweat because I can build up from ground up. And not only that, I have really great relationships. I can like go to some of my friends like Mike Kim and just be like, yo, I actually lost everything recently. I'm really stressed out. I'm not asking for money, by the way, but like if you know anyone that needs high ticket sales, YouTube consults, or anything that can help me right now, I would highly appreciate it. And either A, they hire me, or B, they would introduce me to people. And I think that's the power of network we forget, because when I was a pharmacist, I felt like I was at will, right? I felt like, oh my God, I'm under so much pharmacy school debt. Like if I don't do this, like they're going to fire me. I'm going to be homeless, which was very, very true. But I think now, like I'm just at a point where I'm so multi-talented. I could contract out my skill sets and all that. I can create offers, I can get clients. And like I said, the major one is the goodwill with my business friends and stuff. And I'm pretty sure, and I hope to God this doesn't happen, but if anything happened to me, I don't know why my thought in my head was like, they're not gonna like help me at all, but I'm pretty sure that they would help me in some sort of way through connections or something like that too. So yeah. Number 7, I feel actually really insecure about my weight. I feel like I fall into this to the place of like most other Asian kids where they're like, they get called like fat all the time. Like I still feel like overweight kid. When I was like really young, I had this nickname of Feijai, which means like fat boy in Cantonese, right? And it was so crazy because like, you know, they'll always tell you eat more, but then call you fat. And it's just like, as a kid, you don't know anything about nutrition. You don't know anything about diet. And those like everyone giving me that name, I'm pretty sure like Chinese people and stuff aren't the only minority that deal with this. I've heard the same thing with like a lot of Mexican families and stuff like that too, and most Asian families as well. But it's gotten to a point where I look at myself, and maybe it's like some sort of body dysmorphia, but I look at myself and I always see that overweight kid who got made fun of by my family. And I'm like, oh, you're so lazy, you're so this and you're so that. And ironically, it's really stresses me out. This fear of like not being good enough has really stressed me out and probably has like boosted my cortisol levels just thinking about it too, right? When I look back as a kid, I was like, oh, I just felt so helpless at the time when I was a kid because like, yo, my parents would like go to Costco. We eat Costco food court all the time. My dad loved junk food. My dad loved eating like a whole bag of like potato chips. My mom was like, she didn't really know that much about health and all that sort of stuff back in the day. We used to have juice in the house, soda in the house and stuff, and my family just didn't know. Now my mom knows like a lot more, which is cool, and I had to learn a lot of like diet stuff, but I just have a really big problem with seeing myself like really healthy. And even though I have a pretty healthy lifestyle, I'm pretty active. I do like lift weights, I walk quite a bit doing zone 2 like cardio and stuff. I feel like the thing that really me up a lot is like the diet aspect and the stress aspect too. And so recently, over the last like month or so, I've just been really noticing all the stress that I'm going through at the moment and try and reduce my stress by going on walks, getting massages, things like that. And it's really actually helped because it helps like prevent the cravings or the emotional eating too and stuff, or just like being drained all the time. Like no one ever talks about it, but like dude, I would have early morning insomnia because I was so stressed, and then like I have no energy, and I don't eat fast food per se, but then I'm just like, okay, let's go get In-N-Out Flying Dutchman, and right, like I get really lazy, and it's because I'm tired, you know. I would say TLDR though, like even though like I do watch what I eat, I am aware of all this, I feel like I should be in much better shape, and that's something I'm trying to be more intentional about, like going into this quarter, and I could be way leaner. But if I have to measure the gain, not the gap, I would say my habits are getting way better too, and I want to look better in my 30s than I did in my 20s. And so I'm being very intentional with my diet and all that sort of stuff too, and my habits going forward. I mean, I would have to say like my habits are so much better now than my LA lifestyle, and even when I was like 20 years old. Like, one, I'm sleeping on time. Two, I'm training BJJ like 4 to 5 times a week, which is crazy. I used to train like once or twice a week, dog, back in the day. It was so bad. I tried to do zone 2 cardio 30 minutes per day. I started doing yin yoga specifically to just relax and reduce the cortisol I'm producing. I still strength train. I'm getting actually to my college level of strength, which is pretty cool. I'm like doing yoga nidra and just resting and meditating a lot. I quit seed oils, and I pretty much minimize all my carbs for like non-training days. Like even right now, I've kind of just cut out just eating out a lot. Actually, I barely eat out. I just go to places like Whole Foods and stuff and just like get things there, and like even restaurants. And I don't really have a craving to go to restaurants except steakhouses. That's the one guilty pleasure I do have. And sometimes Asian food, dog, like rice. Oh, bro, if you give me some white rice, I will devour that shit. Or like that makes me so happy. But yeah, I don't do that though. Number 8, I don't feel grown up. So sometimes I get this feeling that I'm not like really mature, that I haven't grown up. And you know, I look at my life, right? Like initially I was on the path to a very mature lifestyle. I went to college, I got my doctorate, I got a 6-figure career, but I ended up hating it so much, and it stressed me out. I hated people I was working with and all that, and I didn't want to be like those like pharmacy managers 10 years down the line because they were miserable as. And so I decided to quit all of it after getting fired from my YouTube channel. But I want to go all in on the YouTube channel and also dive into the like revenue stuff of like high ticket sales. Those things really meant a lot to me. So I did a startup like that. In some ways, that wasn't really the responsible thing to do, like financially or career-wise, if I stuck to a pharmacist route. But honestly, I think I was really on the path to like unaliving myself if I stayed in that career. One of the moments, if you follow this channel, like one of my pharmacy managers actually unalived himself, and he was always really happy in the pharmacy and stuff, but deep down inside you just don't know what's going on. And so a lot of like the delay in like growing up and trying to do this like startup thing, honestly, like it was really hard. I had to delay a lot of the moments that I really wanted to. I never got to go to things like Coachella or travel around the world. Like dude, I've been wanting to go to Asia since I was 25. I haven't been back since like I went to Hong Kong and dated my ex back in the day, which was crazy. Well, probably a little after we broke up, and I was trying to save that relationship, but it didn't work out. I feel like I missed out on so much, and then I just really wanted to just enjoy life, and I never got to enjoy life because I was so busy just trying to figure things out by myself. And I feel like I have this internal root of like, oh, I can't ask for help because if I do ask for help, my dad will beat my ass. Literally, that would happen. That would just happen with me. And I think I've really internalized it, which is crazy. And so while I'm dealing with all this kind of responsibility of trying to make the business work, I'm noticing all these like childhood things that I'm dealing with, right? Like the whole dealing with self-worth, and then like my commitment issues from like my childhood, mostly that I got from my avoidant dad and my anxious mom. Like I saw those like dynamics too. And even though like I'm slowly improving, I wish that I got therapy when I was a lot younger, or mental health coaching. Like I don't think therapy is the make all be all, by the way, but I just think I wish I worked on my emotional maturity like a lot younger than now. And because now it just feels like, oh, I'm so behind. I'm trying to catch up. I'm trying to do all like the inner work right now in my 30s when I should be having kids and stuff. And it's just like a lot of responsibility that I feel a lot of times. But if I were, again, to match the gain versus the gap, I realize that these days I'm a lot more emotional regulated, right? Like I'm less impulsive. And I notice it especially when I'm talking business to other business owners, when I'm advising people on YouTube, advising people with high ticket sales. I'm way less impulsive. And same with like buying stuff or like any of this other stuff too. Like I used to YOLO a lot. No one uses that term anymore, but like I used to be like, it, let's do it, right? Like because I wanted this sense of adventure. But now I notice like why I do certain things. I feel like in that way I'm more mature, but I feel like I haven't grown up like on the external world with like kids and a family and all that sort of stuff. And so I feel super behind on that, man. Number 9, I feel like people will leave me if I don't add value to them. I've always felt this because when I was a lot younger, I did not have too many friends. I remember what life felt like back in the day, and it sucked. I felt like a loser at school. I didn't really have too many friends, and the friends I did have, like, they weren't like the cool kids, right? Like, they were like my StarCraft friends and gaming friends, which was totally cool, by the way, but I wish I had more physical interaction with friends and stuff, you know, in-person time and stuff too, and I felt that was always lacking in my life. And being someone who came from like an Asian household, I learned how to be a chameleon, kind of like blend in. I always tell people jokingly, but it's kind of true, that I'm a master manipulator. I know what people want to hear, and I would people please my way into these relationships. It brought me back to this thought where it's like one of my friends that I met through Ali Abdaal's part-time YouTuber Academy. I was helping out with like kind of the coaching and stuff. This person broke up with me. I've had multiple friend breakups, by the way. When you're my age, they just happen. I think it's just like, you know, just like relationships, like people break up and it's okay. But like I felt like totally used and abused because this person, when they needed help and they needed the confidence to like leave their business or leave their job and stuff and start their own brand, and they were getting a lot of momentum, I gave them kind of like a breakdown of the unfair advantages, pros and cons of the advantages, disadvantages of like things to consider when leaving like their career and stuff. And she really needed like a lot of emotional help at that time, which I was there for her, you know? And then she eventually blew up. And then quite recently, I was like, hey, it's been a long time. What's up? Update me. Like, what's going on? When out of nowhere, she was like, she told me, I would kindly ask that you never contact me again. I want to spend my life with the person I love. And I was like, what the does this have to do with me? Because I clearly have like no intention of dating you or never rizzed her up or anything like that. Maybe she took my kindness as a way of that, but I don't see that as a me problem. And I have a bunch of female friends that's not a problem at all. So I'm not trying to blame everything on her, but I just thought like it was so easy when she needed help to come to me. But then when I'm suddenly not, I don't want to say useful in her life, over like when there's not a problem that she needs help with, it's so easy to be discarded and transactionalized and all that. It's kind of like confirmation bias really sucks sometimes because you're just like, oh, Kevin, like, see, this is how people are. If you don't continue adding value to them, they will leave your life, right? And it reminded me of like this old belief, this confirmation bias that I need to continue to add value to keep the people around me. And it's just like these transactional relationships, honestly, they're very, 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 very exhausting in my life. And it sucks and it's good. I'll talk about why it sucks first because, you know, just like your Asian parents are always focused on the negative first, right? But it kind of sucks because this isn't like the first time it's happened where I felt like I invested so much in a relationship and it didn't work out. And I have to say, there's been a lot of times when I've given a lot and it's very rarely reciprocated, which is okay, because when we do give, it should be unconditional. You shouldn't expect anything from it. But sometimes it's just nice to just get something back, you know, every once in a while, you know, especially when you're such a go-giver. And it reminds me of this quote from Naval Ravikant. I have his book. Shit. Life of Naval Ravikant, which wasn't even written by him. It was excerpt by him. But one of my favorite books, and he said 99% of all effort is wasted. And that's what it feels with relationships sometimes. I started thinking about the 1% of relationships, and I was like, my best relationships in my life, they were not transactional. They were all relational, right? And I was really distraught at the time, and I went to one of my really good friends and clients. His name is Radical Marketer on YouTube. He has like 150K and stuff, subs. But he told me a few great quotes, right? It's like, 1, go to where you're celebrated, not tolerated. 2, spend time with people who love you for who you are, not what you can do with them. And 3, you are not someone's 80-year-old hooker to be used and run through. I was dying at that last one. That one was hilarious. But he has a point, right? Like, I think this like last insecurity thing, it's just like, rather than focusing so much on getting more friends, something as I get older that I appreciate is the quality of friends, and quality friends are relational versus transactional, right? Like the other day, my friend Tani, she brought me a bunch of Asian fruits from OC and I was like, oh, that's really sweet. And she like washed them and everything like that. She also is a killer like at hard money loans and stuff for real estate and real estate investing. But yeah, I need more people like that in my life. And that's why I love things like masterminds, doing high ticket sales calls, because it's like meeting friends versus like hardcore pitching or anything like that. Especially with the insecurities, I feel like all of us have them. I want to be a lot more open about them on this channel, and I don't really want to hide it. My boy Chris Stowe, he said like the best thing you can do for your personal brand is go to therapy. And I feel like I don't want to trauma dump on this channel, but the reason why I share this isn't to get like pity or anything like that, like, oh, feel bad for me, like be my friend, right? It's not like that. But despite everything like I feel insecure about, dog, I'm still here, you know? I still have a purple belt in jiu-jitsu. So proud of this. I still like make plenty of money through high ticket sales and through the YouTube channel and all that. And I think it's important to remember that these insecurities that we might have in our mind, they don't take away from our wins, our accomplishments, or the relationships of the people who truly love you too. But also at the same time, if anything, my insecurities made me lose my hair too, you know? And so I just really want to shoot this video because I want to say, if you're watching this and you're feeling alone and feeling the same way, kind of down about your insecurities, you're not alone. And I think one of the worst things you can do, something I've learned through a lot of shadow work, is kind of like, oh, I hope no one finds out, when really we should show our and stuff. So I want to ask you, what are some of the things that you're kind of working through right now? I love to open up a discussion on that. If you want to kind of hear how I shifted, like, I know mental health is really, really big on people, and mental health is really, really important to me. I'm going to be doing more videos on that. But if you want to check out my whole system of how I like manage my health, my wealth, my relationships, I actually have a video on my $3,500 productivity system. Breaks down everything. Things have changed since then, but I think you'll find it valuable, honestly. So yeah. By the way, if you made it this far in the video, I just want to say I truly do appreciate you, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace, my people. Bye.